Hello athletes, and welcome to your full body flow Pilates session for active recovery. We're going to get started lying down on your mats, just resting your head, your shoulders, your hips, and your heels down into your mat. And bring your hands towards your belly space and begin taking some calm, mindful, deep breaths, paying attention to where your breath is going, where it's filling up space inside your body. And just coming into this sense of muscle mindfulness. We slowly inhale through the nose, exhale through a relaxed jaw. And bring your arms and your legs up to a Pilates tabletop position. Dorsiflex at your ankles just for a little bit of active awareness. And we're going to start into a Pilates breath. So I want you to think of the ribs expanding up towards the sky as you inhale. And as you exhale, you're pulling those front ribs down towards your back ribs or your shoulder blades. And then place the hands and the feet back down on the floor. And we'll take the right foot, lifting it up, going into some ankle cars in both directions. Again, you want to keep that breath, that active Pilates breath alive as we bend the knee and then stretch the knee. Ankle points as you reach the leg up towards your face. And then grab a hold of either the calf or the hamstring muscles, maybe one hand on each. Bringing your nose up towards your knees, lifting your shoulders up away from the ground. We'll find this nice split stretch here as you extend the left leg long in front of your left hip. Just going through a little bit of mobility here, so it is quite quick through these motions. We'll bend both knees once again, and then you'll go into an external hip rotation and then internal hip rotation. Just gently rocking side to side on your mat. And then we'll switch sides. Left leg comes up, left ankle rotates in both directions. You want to try and keep your shoulders and your ribs pressing down towards the floor as you do this to integrate some core into the mix. Next we have the single leg extensions, knee bends, knee extends, flexing the ankle in both directions. Hands come to support behind the leg. Really feel the length of your spine here, right down to the hip joint. As you point the toe, we'll curl the head, bring the nose towards the knee, and then extend the right leg down in front of you, full split here. Noticing your range today may be different than yesterday. It's going to be different from tomorrow. Again, easing into the movement with the breath. Breathe in, draw the knee to your chest. Breathe out, add the T mobility, twist here. Just allowing the hip and the knee to float open and then across the body. This one's for the spine, just getting a nice little rotation in. And then drawing both feet back down towards the ground. We'll bring the hands behind the head to support. Take an inhale. As you exhale, ribs to the floor, shoulders up away from the ground. We'll go into little shoulder lifts here. Just continuing this motion. Little up and then back down. Pause and hold with the head up. Reach the arms out in front of you and then go into marching with the knees. One knee drawing towards your face at a time. Ribs down, belly button sucking towards the floor beneath you. Breathing in through the nose and out through some pursed lips as if you're blowing up a balloon. Will help facilitate even deeper core integration here. Pause and hold with both legs up in your tabletop position. Take an inhale. Exhale, stretch through those fingers. Reach them up beside your ears. And then back down by your hips. We're continuing this motion just through the shoulders. Breathe in, reach. Breathe out, press. Slowly lower head back down towards the ground and then go into your T-spine twist. The knees float down to the right side, eyes look to the left, using the hips to lift the knees up and over to the other side. This time looking towards your right hand. Bring the legs back through to tabletop, and then just circling through the hips one direction and then the other. This feels really nice for your lumbar spine, your low back support. Feet and hands come to plant back on the ground here. And we're noticing that we don't want to shift so that your low back is lifting up above the ground before you start this glute bridge. So you really want to tuck your pelvis underneath you. Think of your hips coming up towards your ribs as you press the hips up towards the sky into that glute bridge. It's more of a spinal roll up, so we're thinking from the base of your tailbone up towards your ribs is lifting off the ground one segment at a time. Same thing as we lower down. If you want, lift up to level 2 with the arms reaching right up above the chest. Slowly peel the spine off the ground and then lower it back down, again, one section at a time. Bend the elbows and just drop those triceps down towards the ground as we go into a glute bridge march. Knee towards the face. Once again, using your abdominals to facilitate this action before the hip flexor turns on is going to ensure some spinal support through this as well. Take a moment to see if you can test out your balance, lifting your heels up at the same time. And then again, checking in, can you extend those arms right up above your chest with a nice long line between shoulders, hips, and knees. We'll go into arm scissors here. Once again, advancing the movement. If you need to, drop those heels back down to the ground for support. Otherwise, do your best to maintain that grip between all 10 toes. Elbows and hips come back down towards the floor. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Take a couple recovery breaths here. I'm going to go into a little glute stretch. So crossing your left ankle over your right knee, coming into a figure 4 position. And switch over to the other side. Just a little quick stretch out. Placing both feet back on your mat once again. Reach those arms back behind your head for support. Breathe in as you exhale. Ribs down, shoulders lift. Elbows you can see out of the corners of your eyes. Reach those arms back in front of you towards your hips, and legs come back up to that tabletop position once again. Dorsiflex at the ankles. Take an inhale, reach the arms up over top of the chest. Exhale, lower the head back down towards the ground. We go right into dead bugs here. Right arm and left leg extending, one in front, one in behind your head. Both at the same time, switching sides. And this movement is very calm. It is very controlled. Once again, keeping the ribs pressing down, the belly button suctioning down towards the spine. There is no space between your back and the mat. Inhale as you reach arm and leg apart. Exhale as you bring them back to that starting position. Continuing to flow through these dead bugs, trying to make each one a little bit stronger than the last. We'll go into a double leg stretch here. Both arms and legs reaching out in front and behind you at the same time. The hands are pulling apart from the feet and then drawing back in together. Really be mindful here. Keep that low back on the floor and then hug knees into chest as you finish off. We go into a rock and roll up into a seated position. You can cross your ankles here or switch the cross. We're trying to maintain the connection between nose and knee here. Once again, activating your abdominals. Finish off that rock and roll lying on your back. Just take a moment of breath here. Inhale through the nose, a sigh of relief to calmly exhale. Right leg is going to Extend at the knee. We're going back into glute bridges. This time it's a single leg glute bridge. Squeeze those knees and inner thighs together to add into a inner thigh activation, which works right up to your lower abdominals as well. And we'll switch over to the other side. Knees connect, groin is activated, and glutes are lifting those hips up. Couple more. And then lower back down towards the floor. We go into a glute bridge clam here. Right away, right into it. Those feet are connected together. Hips lift, knees open wide. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Breathe in to lift. Breathe out to open. Inhale to squeeze those legs back in as you reconnect. And then exhale to lower hips back down to the earth. Finishing that off, we'll hug the knees into the chest and give you a nice hamstring stretch. Both legs just reaching up over top of the hips. I want you to externally rotate your hips. We're going to a little froggy kick here. So we're bending the knees. They're going to come out wide. The heels stay connected, and then you stretch those legs in together, squeezing the knees towards one another and pointing your toes up towards the ceiling. Working right into a little crisscross here. We've got almost like egg beater style. Legs are crossing. 1, 2, switch and open up wide. This one's right for those adductors. Targeting that space between the legs along the inner thigh line. And pause and hold for a stretch there into the groin and along the hamstrings as well. Dorsiflexing your heels, pointing the toes towards the floor. And then kind of rocking your way into a happy baby. Again, nothing too stressful here or too intense. Just opening your knees up into butterfly position. Connect the feet in together. We'll work back into that forward and backward roll here until you finish off in a seated position. Connect the knees and just do windshield wipers side to side, trying to keep those feet connected as well. Have a nice little transition here onto your stomach. Sweep the feet back behind you and then resting your chest down towards the ground. We'll draw your chest up into a sphinx position. So you're going to anchor the elbows in tight towards the chest bones and then lift up through the neck and the head. Press the shins firmly into the floor as you do so, focusing on a lengthening of your spine as opposed to like a crunching or cranking back sensation. Playing around with the arm motions here, you'll notice me go from Sphinx into full Cobra. Changing up where the hands are placed, being mindful of that extension through your upper body. Reconnecting the hands back together, we'll work your way into modified plank position now. One leg at a time is extending back here, as you'll notice, just alternating, and then once comfortable, going into that double leg stretch right into the full plank. Pausing and holding here, really thinking of activating as many muscles as you can possibly integrate in this plank position. Coming back into that breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, as you shift forwards and back, working through the ankles, through the toes, trying to separate all 10 toes from the feet. Lifting the hips up into your modified downward dog position. On those elbows, hips up, chest tries to come towards those thighs. Breathe in as you lift the hips, breathe out as you come back down to plank, and then dropping down slowly to your stomach. Stacking your hands one on top of the other, bringing the forehead towards the backs of the hands. You'll separate the feet about mat distance apart or wherever your hips are most comfortable. And we'll go into a full back extension. So we're lifting the chest and the arms first, legs second. Once again, you're thinking of length here. So pulling up either end of that hammock shape or the banana shape, pulling away from the center line or the core of the body. Notice how my eyes are not looking directly in front of me. They're just looking down at the mat, ensuring that my neck is not in too much extension. You can add in a variation here, so we're lifting up to that full Superman position, Superwoman in this case, and then adding in a lat pull down with the arms. Inhale to lift, reach the arms, exhale, pull those elbows towards the hips, and then inhale, once again, reaching forwards. Swim your arms back behind you and go into some tricep pulses. This is a classic Pilates pulse. You will feel the burn. You will feel that sensation to want to come down out of the position, but keep pushing through until we rest. Bringing the arms out to the sides and then pressing them underneath the chest, rounding through the back now into your child's pose. Take a recovery breath here. Set yourself up here in a kneeling position. We're going to take 4 full breaths as you switch from tucking the toes to untucking them underneath you. Reach those arms up above your head, opening up the chest. You inhale and then exhale to come down. Flip the feet over one more time. Breathe in and then breathe out. Pausing with the toes tucked, we'll flip the wrists over. So palms of the hands turn to face the body and up towards the sky, and then back down again. Just alternating, giving the forearms a bit of a stretch out. And we're working fairly quickly in this positioning. Sometimes it's tough for the ankles or the feet to hold that position, and same thing with the forearms and the wrists. Turn the palms of the hands out in front of you, curl the fingertips back towards your knees, and then just sort of like walk with your hands on your mat here. Pausing when comfortable, trying to get the heels of the hands or the full palms to press down towards the floor. You'll notice I've switched the positioning of my feet, so shins are pressing down towards the ground here. Once again, really good for just ankle strength and also for a nice stretch too. We'll pause in a modified child's pose, reaching the arms out in front of you. And then draw the hips and the belly back down towards the ground into prone position. We'll fold the arms up so hands are towards your elbows. Use the core first, find modified plank, and then full plank positioning. Rotate over to one side plank, reaching the arm up over shoulder. We'll go into your plank sausage rolls here. Reaching the arm just over the shoulder, not too far back behind you. And making sure that you're following with your gaze that top arm. Hips stay lifted. Think of rolling over top of a rainbow shape. And then pausing and holding here in your side plank of choice. You can choose to stack the feet or go into a modified position with one knee or the bottom leg down on the ground. We'll lower down both hips and knees and drop the bottom knee down to the floor. Get a nice side stretch in there, and then we'll go into single leg lifts. We're adding a variation with the arms, so reaching up on top of your head and then down towards the knee. You're gonna press down in towards that bottom leg, hold the top leg lifted and go into tiny circles in one direction. And then reversing it for the other way. Hold that core strong, keep those hips lifted. Foot is trying to form that nice long line between your fingertips and your toes. Draw the knee in towards the chest now. We're pulling in and extending out. Thinking of your knee coming right up towards your armpit and then dropping both down. Just a quick little set there. Roll onto your back, Take a full body stretch. Notice how one side feels compared to the other. As you work those obliques on the one side, and then we'll get into the other side as well. Once again, starting in that low plank position, stacking the arms, elbows are underneath the shoulders, heels are over top of the toes. Start to the other side here. Find that side plank position, get your base nice and strong, and float the arm down, rolling through to the other side. And try not to forget about your feet here. They're a nice base of support as you go through these rolls. Pause and hold to that side that you did not just do. Option here to stack the feet once again. Remember, the rule in Pilates is if the bones are in the right positions, then the muscles will be working and activated accordingly and properly. It's all about the stack joints. Lower the hips slowly down towards the floor. Bend the bottom knee in for support. Reach arm and leg away from one another. And then lifting the leg, we tap the side of the thigh. Up and down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Remember, we're stretching while we're strengthening here, so really do your best to keep those legs extended, toes are pointed as you go into those little circles. Motion starts from the hip and ends at the toes. Reverse direction for the other way. Extending the arm up above the head, draw knee in towards the chest. Have a little sort of abdominal crunch here, so to speak. Pulling that arm right back. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull. Pausing and holding, and then lowering down back onto your mats. Slowly lower. Reach the arms up above your head. Take a full rib cage breath here. And then go into a little shoulder stretch, just reaching left arm across the body and then right arm across the body. We're just pausing here for 1 or 2 breaths. Again, listen to your own selves. Become self-aware, if not already. Tune in. On your next exhale, draw your right knee in towards your nose, lifting your shoulders up and engaging your core. Then release it as you breathe in, and then switch sides. Exhale, left knee in towards nose. Inhale, arms and legs stretch out. Right side again, just alternating in this swift motion here. One more time on each side. As you build up the heat through those abs, we're going right into single leg stretch. Pause and hold, right knee in, left leg lifts up away from the ground to a diagonal line. And then we alternate left side. Exhale, inhale, and switch right side. Adding a little bit more emphasis on some tempo change here. So breathing in and out as you alternate side to side. And then reaching the hands behind the head, going up to level 2. We're adding crisscross action here. So opposite armpit to the knee that's driving towards your face. Once again, pace is crucial here, so choose the tempo that works best for you and your body. Faster is going to create a little bit more momentum. It will be more difficult for the abs to stabilize. And then when you finish that, hug knees in towards you and then go into double leg stretch. So activating the lower abdominals, really point those toes, reach the legs out away from the hips, and then go into a flutter kick in that hollow hold. The arms are just beside the ears, and then we pull in to release. Big exhale, stretch out the body, and then hug knees back in. Just going into little hip circles here, letting the knees float in opposite directions or the same direction. So again, we want to keep those hips nice and juicy as we go through these core exercises. Rock your knees over to the right side. Pick up your right foot and plant it on top of the left knee. So we'll stretch out through the hip flexor and quad. Just briefly here. Flipping over to the other side and repeating the same stretch. Shoulders down, noticing the sensations through the muscles. Knees fold in towards one another, and then heel toeing the feet out to the sides of the mat. We'll keep the knees and the inner thighs closed, work through internal hip rotation. You'll notice I take my hands towards my hips and then lift them up to cactus arms. Just flipping them palms to the floor and then backs of the hands to the floor, back and forth. And working through the shoulders a little bit into that integrated stretch there. After a few moments of breath here, we'll reach the arms up overhead, bring the feet back together to touch, and then open up the hips into butterfly position. You can take your hands along the inner thigh line. I'm really trying to add that tactile feedback for support, just allowing the muscle groups to release and embrace the stretch rather than resist it. And tap into the breath once again, attempting to make it a little bit more calm, a little smoother as you stretch the legs out in front of you. Notice how the body feels by comparison to the beginning of the session. So again, becoming self-aware is key to your stretch and recovery practices. The more aware we are of the tension the muscles are holding, the better we become at teaching ourselves how to release it a little faster. When you've taken that moment to yourself, just find your way up to a seated position, and we'll finish the session together as one with some head and neck isolations, just letting the head lead side to side, chin up and then down to the chest, and then with an easy head roll. Rocking back and forth from side to side. We'll bring our hands together at your chest. Take one more deep, relaxing inhale and exhale. And I thank you for joining me for practice today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste. Thank you guys, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.